So last night I'm watching the game, and they start talking about the hair shaving incident with Ben Rice and so forth, but they're not mentioning me, they're not mentioning the podcast, they're just saying a podcaster, an influencer, and I'm just sitting there like...
Now, say my name.
Hi, Derek. Shane. Say, the other day somebody on the program brought up Billy Martin. I can tell you this much about Billy Martin, having lived through his managing career. He would not manage with fantasy stats. So probably this day and age, he wouldn't even get a sniff managing a team. But he would be successful. I can pretty much guarantee that. And Joe Madden is not the answer. I don't know what the answer is because we're not going to find anybody nowadays that does not manage without fantasy stats. You know, what if stats. Why? If he hits the ball in this ballpark, he's going to hit 100 home runs. But he's got to hit the ball.
How's it going, Shane? I wish I could have seen Billy. I think I agree with you that Joe Madden is not the answer. You know, we talked a little bit about whether or not Buck Showalter would be the right personality a couple of years ago. He didn't make it very long with the Mets. Don Mattingly has not had a particularly impressive managerial career. I don't know what the answer is. I think maybe Jorge Posada, but here's the issue. He's never managed or coached professionally. So I'm not sure that you want to hand the keys over to another inexperienced guy like that. But that type of attitude, I think, is what this team needs.
Hey, Derek. Great show. Just an odd thought. What do you think about Volpe as cleanup? Nothing else is working.
I don't want Volpe in the cleanup spot. Honestly, the best spot for Volpe right now is 9th in the order. He's been miserable for over a month now. I don't know where the guy went who was wrapping the ball all over the ballpark in the first month of the season, but we need that guy back. I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know if he's changed something. I don't know if the league is working him differently, but he has not been good.
Hey, Derek. This is Myers Collins from Raleigh, North Carolina. I think this series against the Rays is important to the Yankees, not just because they need to start winning, but they are playing in front of the executives, which include both Bryan and Howe, who are both presently with the team. If they want to show to the executives who they are going into the trade deadline, then I think this series determines that. Appreciate it, Derek.
Who was that football coach who said, "They are who we thought they were"? Coming into this season, we thought the Yankees were basically going to be Judge and Soto and little else. And that's exactly what they have ended up being. They got some hot starts from Oswaldo Cabrera, from Anthony Volpe. Giancarlo Stanton was vintage Stanton for a while, and then his legs fell off. But mostly they've been who we thought they were. A team that's built around two players and very little else. And it's aggravating, and it's tough to watch. And I don't blame you if you're ticked off. I'm ticked off. I'm sure the Yankees are ticked off. I'm sure the front office is ticked off. They got off to a great start, and they had everybody's hopes up, but it looks now like they're finally taking on water and the ship is sinking.
I love your podcast, watch it every day. I think it's time, instead of giving a belt after every Yankee win, I think it's time you started giving a dork of the day. This is the worst team that I've ever seen anybody put on the field. Enjoy your show. Thank you.
I've had a few suggestions like that over the years, and I've considered it, but I've never implemented it. But we might be getting closer to that. Let me know in the chat, you guys, if that's something you guys want. I don't know about Dork of the Night because, Dork of the Week is Ken Rosenthal's thing on Fair Territory, so maybe some other kind of name. But I'll consider it. I'm not going to guarantee anything. It's a lot of work, but, let me know what you guys think.
I know we talked about how we don't develop position players very well, so it got me looking into it a little further. And since Robinson Cano was called up in 2005, tell me how many position players we've developed. In almost 20 years, we've developed a total of 3 position players. Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, and Brett Gardner. That's it. How can we be one of the best franchises out there when you can't even develop more than one guy every 5 years?
I hear you. There's still time for Volpe. We've had some other guys that have shown some promise. Dominguez last year looked really, really good when he came up, but he's been hurt this year. We've got to give him some time to prove that he can stay injury-free, but I think he's going to be a good player. Ben Rice, it's been a very, very short sample size, small sample size, but I think he's going to be a good player. But you're right, this team has not developed enough position players. I thought Melky Cabrera was pretty good, but Andujar had a great rookie season and then faded. But you're right, and maybe Aaron Judge's hitting coach, Teacher Man, is right, that this team's organizational development for offensive players is all out of whack. Something is up.
This is Danny from California. Been a lifelong Yankee fan since '76. I've been through all the different, been through Martin, Billy Martin, all the different managers through the '70s, '80s, '90s, 2000s. And the thing that separates this Yankee team, since Girardi and Boone have been there, when I know it's over is when you see them in the dugout when they're going through a tailspin and they're nudging each other and laughing and busting up. And it seems like they just don't give a shit. So back in Martin days and even later on with the other teams, with Torrey and all them, they didn't ever, when they were going through a tailspin, you never seen them laughing in the dugout, man. They were pissed.
Yeah, I got to say it's a bad look when the team is losing big on the scoreboard and they show the dugout and guys are laughing and so forth. But, these are human beings. Their lives are more than just the baseball game, obviously, and they know it's a long season, and so they're not that worried. To them, it's the middle of a long season. To us, we live and die with every single game, and we're sitting here trying to grind out our TV dinner, and we just want a little bit of joy in our lives with a Yankee victory, but then we see them laughing, while we're suffering. And as a fan, that's no fun. But I hear you. I see where you're coming from. A lot of people feel that way.
What's going on, Derek? Had to say I agree with your recap last night when talking about Rodon. The dude is an absolute head case, and I think the Yankees would probably at this point be better off somehow or another trying to get rid of him, to be completely honest. He just doesn't have the headspace for New York. It seems like he's every time it's obvious to all of us that he's just playing like garbage. He's out there screaming at the coaches, screaming at teammates. He just looks like a complete jerk to be around, to be honest. And I can't see that being good for a team, especially a team that has as much promise as the Yankees did at the beginning of this year.
It's funny. We just talked about how, certain guys are cutting it up and laughing. I really feel like Carlos Rodon cares, but he might be somebody who cares too much, right? It's one of those weird bell curves. It's like Billy Beane used to say. When he was in the minor leagues or when he first got to the major leagues, he would really struggle. And he would go 0 for 4, and he'd be down on himself, and he'd be in his head, and he'd be slamming stuff, and he'd be pissed off. And then he'd see Lenny Dykstra go 0 for 4 and be like, all right, where are we going for dinner? But yeah, the way he screams at teammates, the way he screams at his coaches, he just seems like an asshole, to be honest. And I'm not sure that he's a great fit for the Yankees. If I were the Yanks, I would eat a little bit of that contract. Whatever a team is willing to pay to take him off of our roster, I'd get him to waive the no-trade clause. That means you got to get him, a new car or something. Who cares? Get him off the team. It'll be better in the long run. And I know that arms are super valuable, and lefties with 98-mile-an-hour fastballs don't grow on trees, but I'm telling you guys, I've seen it before. He's a head case. He can't handle New York. Listen to Mike Francesa. I know a lot of people don't listen to Mike Francesa anymore. I have always been a huge Francesa fan. And he had Rodon pegged from day one, where he said, don't like this guy, don't like his attitude, don't like his personality, he's not going to do well in New York. He nailed it. I got to give credit where credit's due. He absolutely crushed it.
We just have no hitting. We have no baseball skills on the pads or hitting anymore. We can't get a runner over, and if it's not for the bomb by Rice this time, we would barely be on the board.
Preaching to the choir, my friend. I can't understand for the life of me why the Yankees offense has gotten so bad in recent years. This year they actually mixed in some lefties. In previous years we blamed it on, well, there's not enough lefties in the lineup. At least we got some this year. Ben Rice being the latest, but Verdugo did a nice job early on. Oswaldo Cabrera early on in the season from the left side especially was great. Soto, obviously, great addition, but he's been slumping lately. But right now, it's not a matter of the lineup being too lopsided or too right-handed. It's just a matter of them not hitting. And it's like they don't have their own scouting reports. A lot of times teams will have their scouts scout themselves to say, all right, if I'm an opposing team, how do I beat you? And it's like the Yankees just refuse to correct any of their weaknesses. It's difficult to watch, my man.
Hey, Derek, watching the Yankee game here, obviously not enjoying the fact that we're down 4-1, but I'm listening to them gabbing, and I hear them bring up a podcaster on the internet who shaved his head when Ben Rice hit 3 home runs the other day, and I was like, that's Derek. Michael K. says, why would he do that? And they're like, oh, well, he's kind of a podcaster. He's not kind of a podcaster. He's Derek Levandowski of NYY Recaps. They better put respect on your name, brother.
You're goddamn right.
Hey everybody, we are on a mission for 50,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of the season. When we get there, we're going to give away some cool prizes. We're going to give away an official Yankees pinstripe jersey of your choice, 4 tickets to a Yankees game, plus some NYY Recaps merch. It takes 1 click and it's free. So if you watch every video, double check that you are subscribed. If you love the podcast, subscribe. Heck, even if you hate the podcast, hate me, hate the Yankees, hate my cat, who cares? Subscribe anyway so somebody can win these prizes. And we'll see you next time.
Ball game on.